The Illusion of Familiarity, Understanding Capgras Syndrome. Imagine it's evening. You're gazing at someone dear to you, their face, their smile, the eyes you've seen countless times. Yet something feels deeply unsettling. Though their appearance is exactly the same, you're overcome by an intense conviction. This is not your loved one. Instead, you're certain this person is a flawless replica, a counterfeit who has taken their place. This scenario isn't drawn from a thriller or science fiction tale. It's the real and disorienting experience of individuals living with what's known as Capgras Syndrome, a psychological phenomenon that challenges some of our most basic mental functions. First identified in 1923 by French psychiatrist Joseph Capgras, this rare disorder offers an extraordinary look into how the brain constructs reality and forms attachments to familiar people. Capgras observed the condition in a woman who believed her husband had been replaced multiple times by identical imposters. What makes this delusion particularly captivating is how it confronts our assumptions about facial recognition and emotional bonding. To better understand Capgras syndrome, it helps to consider how the brain usually identifies faces. Think of your mind as a high-tech surveillance system in a museum. There are two key components. One system handles visual identification, much like cameras matching facial features, while another processes emotional significance, like sensors that register whether the visitor belongs. In a healthy brain, these systems synchronize seamlessly. However, in Capgras syndrome, a strange disconnection occurs. The visual network remains intact. The person sees and can accurately describe their loved one's face, but the emotional circuit, the part that triggers that warm sense of familiarity, fails to activate. It's as if the cameras recognize the person, but the emotional alarm stays silent. This dissonance leads to a troubling contradiction. The mind sees someone it knows, but feels nothing in response. Picture looking at a photograph of someone close to you. You recognize them, but the emotional impact isn't the same as seeing them face to face. Capgras syndrome is like being permanently stuck in that emotionless photo moment. The brain, trying to make sense of the void, concludes, "This must be a stranger." The condition's implications go far beyond psychiatry. It poses deep questions about what it means to know someone, the role of emotions in recognition, and how identity is constructed. Is familiarity simply a matter of matching visual details, or is it largely rooted in emotional resonance? Some neuroscientists and philosophers view Capgras syndrome as a revealing lens into the workings of human awareness. It suggests that our grasp of reality is not a single, unified experience, but a delicate interplay between various mental functions, each one contributing to our perception of what is real and who is known. Think about the countless times you recognize someone close to you. Your brain is performing an extraordinary integration, pairing facial cues with stored emotional memories to produce that effortless sensation of knowing. We often take this process for granted, but when it breaks down, as it does in Capgras syndrome, it exposes just how intricate and fragile our sense of reality truly is. Capgras syndrome illuminates something essential about human awareness. Our perception of reality, our ability to recognize those dear to us, and our emotional ties aren't driven by a single brain mechanism. Instead, they emerge from a complex symphony of systems working in concert. And when even one instrument goes quiet, the harmony is lost, revealing the extraordinary depth and mystery of our conscious experience. As you ease into sleep tonight, reflect on the myriad cognitive functions now working quietly in the background, shaping your awareness, linking you to the world around you, and anchoring your emotional connections to the people you cherish. The mystery of almost human, exploring the uncanny gap. Have you ever felt a strange discomfort when staring at a hyper-realistic robot or a computer-generated human that looks nearly lifelike but not quite? That subtle twinge of eeriness, an unsettling sense that something is off, is exactly what you're experiencing. This reaction is known as the uncanny valley, a term coined by roboticist Masahiro Mori. It reveals just as much about how our minds work as it does about our evolving technologies. Picture yourself strolling through a toy aisle. You come across a plush cartoon-like teddy bear, clearly man-made, yet it brings joy and nostalgia. Nearby sits a hand-carved wooden puppet, obviously artificial, but delightful in its charming simplicity. Then, suddenly, your eyes fall on something else entirely. A humanoid doll that seems incredibly lifelike. Its skin appears almost real. Its eyes move subtly, and it bears a nearly authentic smile. Yet instead of warmth, you feel a ripple of discomfort. That reaction is the descent into what Mori called the uncanny valley. According to this theory, as artificial beings become more human in form, our emotional comfort with them rises until a certain threshold is reached. Once these entities appear almost human but not fully convincing, our comfort level takes a sharp dive into the valley, an emotional drop characterized by discomfort, eeriness, or even repulsion. Think of it as climbing two peaks with a dip in between. The first peak represents our growing ease with increasingly human-like artificial beings, from clunky machines to expressive cartoon characters to lifelike animations. But just before they appear completely human, we fall into the valley. Only by either pushing further to absolute realism or intentionally keeping designs stylized and less lifelike can we ascend the second peak of emotional acceptance. But what causes this psychological plunge? Some experts believe the reaction has evolutionary roots, an ancient instinct designed to help early humans steer clear of diseased or deceased members of their tribe. Others argue it connects to our fragile sense of what it means to be human, our built-in sensitivity to detect when something is just ever so slightly off. Think of an orchestra playing a symphony. When all the instruments are perfectly in tune, the music is harmonious. But if even one note is slightly wrong, our ears instantly pick it up, even if we can't pinpoint why. The uncanny valley works in the same way. Our brains are remarkably attuned to minute mismatches in facial expressions, movements, or timing, details that fall just outside the natural human range. The implications of this theory stretch well beyond the fields of robotics and digital animation. It asks deep human questions. What defines being human? How do we sense true humanity in others? Where do we draw the boundary between the artificial and the authentic? In today's tech-driven world, these questions matter more than ever. From virtual influencers on social media to AI-generated voices and chatbots, we're constantly negotiating this fine line between human and machine. The uncanny valley reminds us that these nearly human creations don't just imitate us, they also reveal truths about ourselves. Perhaps what's most intriguing is how this phenomenon acts like a reflective surface, revealing who we are by showing us what we're not. These almost human figures help us understand what makes us uniquely real. That moment of unease in the valley isn't just about the artificial, it's about the subtleties we instinctively recognize as human, the tiny imperfections, the asymmetric expressions, the spontaneity no machine has quite captured. As you begin to unwind for the night, consider how your brain is constantly traversing this valley, decoding signals, sensing authenticity, and distinguishing human connection from simulation. In a world filled with increasingly human-like technology, the uncanny valley becomes not just a theory, but a mirror reflecting the exquisite complexity of what it means to be human. It reminds us that, in our pursuit to engineer perfect imitations of life, we've stumbled upon something extraordinary, an understanding that what makes us lovable, real, and deeply human might be our very imperfections. The subtle wonder, unveiling the essence of Yūgen. Imagine standing before a limitless sea at dusk, watching the sun gradually dip beneath the horizon as nightfall softly wraps the world. You glimpse a flock of geese fading into the mist of a cloud-covered moon. A wave of emotion rises within you, deep, powerful, and indescribable. This intangible sense of awe and mystery, an awareness that goes beyond language, is known in Japanese aesthetics as Yūgen. Regarded as one of the most refined and elusive ideas in philosophical tradition, Yūgen can be loosely interpreted as profound grace or subtle depth. Yet, like all truly profound ideas, its essence cannot be fully contained by translation. It represents the sense that the cosmos is infinitely more mysterious and beautiful than our minds can ever completely understand. Visualize Yūgen like a novel whose real message is hidden between the printed lines. It's not in the explicit details, but in the silent suggestion that something vast and meaningful exists just out of reach. Picture wandering through an ancient woodland, the sun casting speckled beams through the trees, shadows dancing at your feet. Yūgen doesn't dwell in the sunlight or in the leaves, but in the quiet hint that something deeper stirs, something eternal, just beyond your grasp. To better grasp the meaning of Yūgen, reflect on moments like these: the quiet pull in your chest when you look into a star-filled sky and suddenly grasp the unfathomable distance of those stars, the melancholy peace in watching crimson leaves drift to the ground and sensing the endless rhythm of life, the haunting sound of a chime in the wind, and the thoughts it stirs about all the places the breeze has touched. Traditional Japanese art forms express Yūgen in many ways. In poetry, it's the richness of implication over direct expression. In painting, it's the empty space that whispers louder than any color. In theater, it's the silent pause between gestures that carries the heaviest meaning. Yet Yūgen extends beyond the arts. It's a way of perceiving life itself. Contemporary science reveals that our universe is stranger and more enigmatic than ever imagined. Concepts like quantum entanglement, the existence of dark matter, and the infinite reaches of space echo the ancient understanding behind Yūgen, that the deepest truths are often those we cannot observe directly. Think of how this applies to the nature of the human mind. Just as we cannot see the wind itself, only its influence on leaves and water, we cannot view consciousness head-on, but only through thoughts, feelings, and actions. This parallel suggests that Yūgen is not merely a poetic or aesthetic notion, but a fundamental reality of our experience. Imagine watching a vessel slowly drift beyond the edge of the sea. The mystery isn't in its vanishing act. It lies in the suggestion of unseen journeys continuing out of view. Yūgen is the recognition that what we can't see might hold boundless possibilities. It's the awareness that what lies beyond perception still touches us deeply. In today's fast-paced world of instant answers and non-stop communication, Yūgen reminds us of the importance of not knowing. It teaches that wisdom is found not in complete understanding, but in reverence for the unknown. It lives in those fleeting instants when we stop analyzing and simply feel the weight and beauty of the unknown. As sleep draws near, reflect on the quiet presence of Yūgen even now, in the seamless shift from awareness to dreaming, in the thoughts drifting beneath your conscious mind, in the rich complexity of simply being. Like a moon dimmed by clouds, the most breathtaking parts of life are often those we sense but cannot explain. To embrace Yūgen is to recognize that the incomprehensible is often the most beautiful. It's in the spaces between stars, the subtleties of emotion, the serene passage from waking to sleep. Some truths are made more profound by their mystery, and Yūgen teaches us to find beauty not in knowing, but in wonder. The beauty of stillness, exploring the idea of Ma. Take a slow, deep breath. Now gently let it go. In that quiet pause that lingers between inhaling and exhaling, you've encountered a concept from Japanese wisdom known as Ma. It isn't simply a void or silence. It's a potent interval where true significance lives. Ma reveals that what appears to be emptiness is often brimming with meaning. Picture a heartfelt dialogue with someone dear. What gives that exchange depth isn't only the spoken words, but the intentional quiet in between. Those moments of stillness aren't mere blanks. They're rich with expectation, reflection, and understanding. That is Ma in one of its most intimate forms. In the Japanese language, Ma is represented by a character that depicts sunlight passing through a partially open gate. Just like light pouring through a doorway, Ma is the space that allows brilliance and clarity to enter our world. It's not defined by what is missing, but by the potential it holds. Now think of music. A melody's beauty lies not only in its notes, but in the carefully measured gaps between them. Remove the spacing, and you're left with noise, not harmony. Likewise, Ma teaches that the true essence of life often emerges not during the events themselves, but in the pauses that surround them. In traditional Japanese design, Ma is seen in the layout of homes and gardens. Consider the tokonoma, a simple, unadorned alcove in a Japanese residence. To a Western eye, it might seem like unused space, yet in the philosophy of Ma, that emptiness acts as a vessel, a container for imagination, serenity, and depth. Ma subtly weaves itself into everyday life, though we rarely notice it. It's present in the hush before the sun rises, in the anticipation between reaching for a loved one's hand and actually touching it, in the silence that follows a meaningful question, in the blank canvas awaiting the artist's first gesture. In the hustle of modern living, we tend to overcrowd every second, checking our devices in elevators, playing music to drown out quiet, mindlessly scrolling during idle moments. But Ma urges us not to fill every gap, but to embrace those intervals as valuable in themselves. Imagine Ma like the untouched spaces in a piece of elegant calligraphy. That white area is not mere background. It actively defines and enhances the ink's expression. Without these gaps, the characters would blur, losing their power and meaning. Ma also teaches us about rhythm and balance. Just as a great performer knows the perfect pause before a punchline, Ma reminds us that life follows a natural flow of presence and absence. Sometimes doing absolutely nothing is a meaningful act of its own. In meditative practice, Ma shows up in the quiet between thoughts, the serene instant before a new idea arises. It's in these spaces that we often access our most profound realizations and inner calm. As you lie in stillness, notice the Ma in your own awareness, the gentle quiet between your thoughts, the soft break between breaths, the smooth transition from alertness to dreaming. Ma reveals that emptiness isn't absence, it's potential, like a vessel made useful by its open interior, or a window that brings light through its clear frame. What may look like nothing may be everything we need. Ma reminds us that the most powerful and moving moments are often those when it feels as though nothing at all is happening. Tonight, as you unwind and let go, honor the presence of Ma in your life, the sacred spaces that shape the richness of all that surrounds them. For in those precious intervals, we often uncover our truest peace, our clearest vision, and our most meaningful connection to existence itself. The elegance of imperfection. Understanding, Wabi-Sabi. Take a quiet moment to observe your hands. Notice the minor flaws, the unevenness in your fingers, the distinct lines that map your skin, perhaps even a few scars that whisper tales from your past. In these subtle irregularities, you're witnessing a philosophy deeply rooted in Japanese culture, Wabi-Sabi, the serene beauty found in imperfection, impermanence, and incompletion. This idea challenges today's relentless pursuit of flawlessness. It encourages us to discover grace in the overlooked and charm in the worn and weathered. Imagine, for instance, an old ceramic bowl that's been cracked and mended with gold. This practice, called kintsugi, brings wabi-sabi to life. Instead of masking the damage, it accentuates the fractures with precious metal, symbolizing that what's broken can become more cherished. The bowl isn't lovely despite its scars, it's captivating because of them. Historically, Wabi conveyed the solitude of a simple life, often connected to nature and detachment from society, while Sabi referred to the elegant aging process, the quiet, weathered beauty of things touched by time. Over centuries, the two terms merged, evolving into a way of seeing the world that finds value in rusticity, transience, and quiet melancholy. Picture an aged wooden bench resting in a peaceful garden. The wood, after years of wind and rain, has become rough and rich with character. Moss finds home in its cracks, and its texture tells stories of countless changing seasons. From a modern perfectionist's viewpoint, this bench is due for replacement. Yet, through the eyes of Wabi-Sabi, its time-worn state is its greatest charm. Every mark and stain is evidence of a meaningful life lived. This philosophy appears all around us, in the misshapen symmetry of leaves growing wild, the frayed edges of a beloved novel, the warm patina of old copper, the creases formed by a lifetime of laughter, the uneven glaze on handcrafted pottery, or the stones smoothed by centuries of footsteps at an ancient shrine. In our age dominated by filters, flawless imagery, and curated digital lives, Wabi-Sabi offers a quiet rebellion. It suggests that striving for perfection might be missing the point, not because perfection is unreachable, but because there's more depth and beauty in embracing the real, the worn, the flawed. Think about your relationships, a long-lasting partnership that has endured hardship, or a friendship that has survived missteps and reconciliations. These connections aren't idealized, they're genuine, and that reality, with all its imperfections, makes them immeasurably valuable. In the arts, Wabi-Sabi reveals itself in coarse clay cups, uneven paint, simple tea rooms, and humble landscapes. But its insight extends far beyond design. It's a lens through which to view life itself. It teaches a foundational truth. Everything changes, nothing is ever truly finished, and nothing is perfect. Envision Wabi-Sabi as nature's honesty expressed through objects and experiences. A perfect circle may exist in theory, but in the real world, everything is slightly off-center, constantly aging and transforming. This isn't a design flaw, it's reality's signature. Wabi-Sabi reminds us that our own lives are not meant to be pristine or final. Like the turning leaves, the weathered rocks, or the gnarled roots of an old tree, our beauty lies in our impermanence and our individuality. Each crease, each scar, each unique feature is not a mistake to fix, but a piece of our story to embrace. As sleep gently approaches, reflect on this moment, flawed, incomplete, fleeting. You too are perfectly imperfect, exactly as you are meant to be. By welcoming Wabi-Sabi, we uncover a deeper kind of peace, not from chasing perfection, but from loving life as it comes. The gentle ache of fleeting moments, the essence of mono no aware. Picture yourself beneath a cherry tree in full bloom. A tender breeze whispers through the branches, and a single petal loosens, spiraling softly through the air before resting quietly on the earth. In that instant, you feel something, an aching sweetness, a delicate sorrow, a tender recognition that this perfect scene is already dissolving into memory. This sensation is known as mono no aware, a profound emotional sensitivity to the impermanence of all things. Though often translated as the pathos of things, its meaning extends far beyond literal words. It captures the heart's quiet realization that every joy, every glance, every treasured instant is fleeting. Yet rather than causing despair, this awareness deepens our sense of wonder. It teaches us that transience doesn't diminish beauty, it defines it. Imagine flipping through a photo album, the younger faces, the once familiar places, the frozen laughter from long past days, all stir a tender emotion. It isn't simply nostalgia, nor just sadness. It's mono no aware, the gentle sorrow of being conscious of time's passage, while being fully present in it. Consider holding grains of sand in your palm. The tighter you grasp them, the faster they fall away. Mono no aware encourages us not to cling to time, but to cherish it for exactly what it is, precious because it cannot last. Beauty doesn't fade because of impermanence, it is created by it. This emotional understanding appears in so many everyday moments. The final hours of summer break, a child's shirt that no longer fits, the rustle of leaves marking the end of a season, or the soft hush that follows a night of laughter with dear friends. In Japanese tradition, the cherry blossom perfectly embodies this idea. Its breathtaking bloom lasts only a handful of days, and in that brief life, it teaches us the delicate balance between beauty and brevity. It's not less beautiful because it ends, it's more so. Mono no aware is not simply melancholy. It is not a lament for what has passed, but a celebration of what was, made meaningful because it cannot stay. It reminds us that the impermanence of life is not a flaw of the universe, it is its most meaningful truth. In our era of endless digital archives and constant playback, we are tempted to believe that moments can be preserved forever. But Mono no Aware teaches us something different, that reality unfolds only once. Each sunset is one of a kind, each burst of laughter irreplaceable. Every moment is a singular event that will never repeat exactly the same way again. This insight extends to love as well. When we truly care for someone, we feel the quiet knowledge that our time with them is limited. This recognition doesn't darken love, it intensifies it. It invites us to be more attentive, more grateful, more present. We love deeper because we understand that the moment is slipping through our fingers. Mono no aware calls us to embrace the passing nature of life, not as a cause for sadness, but as a pathway to presence and meaning. It teaches that by acknowledging life's fleeting nature, we can cultivate a greater appreciation for its fragile, luminous beauty and a richer capacity for love. As you settle into rest tonight, remember, this moment, its thoughts, its emotions, its quiet texture will never return exactly like this again. That's what makes it extraordinary. Like a cherry blossom drifting on the wind, it is made beautiful by its very passing. Invisible yet present, understanding the glass child experience picture. A family portrait, one child lingers in the background, almost blending into it, like sunlight passing effortlessly through clear glass. They are present, yes, but somehow overlooked. This captures the quiet reality behind what is often referred to as the glass child experience, a deep psychological reality faced by the siblings of children who require specialized care or live with chronic conditions. The phrase glass child was first introduced by Alicia Arenas, who herself was the sister of a child with special needs. She describes these children as the ones who live behind an invisible barrier, watching life unfold, absorbing every moment and emotion, yet rarely drawing the same attention. Within the demanding focus of their family's circumstances, they become both witness and shadow. Imagine a vibrant garden where one particular plant demands constant nurturing, delicate feeding, special tools, and consistent attention. The gardener, loving and devoted, concentrates on this one life as they must. Yet, around it, other plants quietly stretch toward the light, adapting, surviving, and growing with whatever resources are left. These plants flourish not because they are overlooked, but despite it. This is how the glass child grows, resilient, strong, and often unseen. These children often blossom with remarkable traits. From an early age, they show an uncanny ability to empathize, a high emotional intelligence, and a deep-seated independence. Picture holding two glass cups, one chipped and obviously delicate, the other smooth and flawless. Naturally, our instinct is to be gentle with the fragile one, assuming the flawless glass is unbreakable. Yet even flawless glass can shatter without care. Glass children are often thrust into early adulthood emotionally, what experts call precocious maturity. They learn to manage, to cope, to support others while often setting aside their own needs. Like flowers forced to bloom early in a greenhouse, their development is both admirable and heart-wrenching. To every glass child reading this, your clarity is not invisibility. Your quiet strength is not immunity. Your early wisdom does not mean you don't need love, support, or recognition. Just like a clear prism that seems colorless, but refracts the full spectrum of light, you hold incredible richness and emotional depth, deserving to be seen and truly understood. Know this: your journey may have carved resilience into your bones, but that story is not your whole identity. Your challenges can be reframed into insight. Your emotional burdens can evolve into empathy that uplifts others. Like light bending through glass, your experience shapes something beautiful, something powerful. The glass child experience reminds us to truly see those who rarely demand attention. It urges us to recognize that those who seem the most self-sufficient may be quietly longing for connection, recognition, and care. Strength can be deceiving. It can wear the face of silence, of competence, of maturity. But even strength, like glass, can be simultaneously stunning and delicate. As you close your eyes tonight, remember this: transparency doesn't mean you're invisible. Just like exquisite glasswork, your life has been shaped by pressures and patterns that create something both intricate and rare. You are worthy of attention, not because of what you've endured quietly, but because of who you are fully. The paradox of the empty space, a theory of seeking. Picture yourself anxiously looping through a crowded parking garage. You're on a mission to find a spot, but each turn yields only disappointment. Then, the moment you throw in the towel and begin to leave, several ideal spaces magically open up. What at first appears to be a trivial, everyday event actually offers a compelling insight into human behavior and the nature of longing. Welcome to the paradox of the empty space. This isn't just about finding a parking spot. It's a symbolic framework for understanding one of life's most puzzling patterns: how the harder we chase something, the more it seems to run away from us. Our relentless pursuit often becomes the barrier to receiving what we desire. Picture yourself driving circles around a packed lot. Each lap fuels your stress. Every filled space adds to your irritation. Your mind becomes consumed with finding the perfect space. In this heightened state of urgency, you may overlook perfectly usable spots simply because they aren't exactly what you had in mind. Or perhaps your stress keeps you from smoothly pulling into a spot that is available. This situation mirrors the law of reversed effort. The more aggressively you try to grab hold of something, be it peace, sleep, love, or fulfillment, the more it seems to evade you. Next is the trap of fixation. When we obsess over one specific outcome, we blind ourselves to alternative paths. Just like a driver laser-focused on the closest space to the entrance, we might ignore several perfectly acceptable ones a bit farther away. That narrow vision limits possibility. Then comes the most powerful truth: freedom in release. The moment you genuinely release your obsessive pursuit, your awareness broadens. You feel lighter, more attuned, and paradoxically more likely to stumble upon exactly what you were seeking. Think of trying to observe a dim star at night. When you look at it directly, it disappears. But when you shift your gaze ever so slightly, the star reappears in clarity. This is known in astronomy as averted vision, but it echoes a broader life principle. This idea is not new. It echoes across ancient teachings. In Buddhism, we find the principle of non-attachment. Taoist thought emphasizes the grace of effortless doing. Stoicism teaches the wisdom of embracing what we cannot govern. The parking lot, so mundane and modern, becomes a stage for these enduring truths to play out in real time. This concept reveals a deep insight. Often the biggest hurdle in our path isn't some external condition, but our own tightly gripped desire. Just as a closed fist cannot catch the rain, a mind rigidly locked onto one outcome may miss a multitude of open doors. As you lay here in stillness, consider how this idea applies to rest itself. The more forcefully we try to fall asleep, the more elusive it becomes. But when we loosen our mental grip and stop needing to sleep, we create the soft space in which sleep can naturally arise. The paradox of the empty space reminds us that life doesn't always respond to brute force. Often, the most cherished moments and opportunities don't arrive when we demand them, but when we allow them the room to enter. As you drift off tonight, think of the parking spot that appeared only after you stopped chasing it. Many of life's treasures work the same way, not summoned by urgency, but welcomed by ease. The enigma of the Seraphinian manuscript. Picture yourself holding a large, exquisitely designed book in your hands. Its cover gleams with ornate markings, strange glyphs that whisper secrets from another world. As you flip it open, you're met with a cascade of fantastical images, a bizarre tree transforming into a piece of furniture, aquatic creatures gliding through skies painted in psychedelic hues, and human figures dissolving into their environments in the most peculiar ways. Each spread of this volume is cloaked in a mysterious alphabet, an entirely alien script that defies translation. This is the world of the Seraphinian manuscript, a riddle wrapped in art and language that has baffled minds since its creation in the late 1970s. This cryptic masterpiece was conceived by Italian illustrator and designer Luigi Serafini. The book, styled like a fictional encyclopedia, is filled with meticulously rendered depictions of a surreal universe. Every image is paired with fluid, looping lines of unintelligible text, an invented language that remains unbroken to this day. For nearly 5 decades, no scholar or cryptologist has cracked its code. The mystery of its meaning has fueled endless speculation. Some say it's a cosmic joke, others believe it holds metaphysical insight, but most agree it ignites the same wonder and awe we felt when first encountering fairy tales or fantasy lands. Like Alice descending into Wonderland, readers of the Seraphinian manuscript fall into an unfamiliar dimension where logic and physics are beautifully suspended. There are echoes of reality, plants, animals, machines, architecture, but each has been contorted, dreamlike, into strange new shapes. This world invites us not to solve, but to marvel. In that way, the manuscript becomes a meditation on the limits of comprehension. Humanity is wired to name, define, and categorize. But what if something refuses to be understood? What if its very point is that it cannot be pinned down? Many theorists believe that's exactly the manuscript's purpose, to symbolize how limited our grasp of knowledge truly is. The handwritten script, intricate and purposeful, has the cadence of a legitimate language, yet aligns with none. Linguists have attempted frequency analyses, comparisons with real alphabets, and grammatical breakdowns. All attempts have failed. Not a single word has been decoded. And yet, the writing feels intentional, as if it obeys internal syntax and rules. This consistency has led some to believe it is either a genuine invented language or a clever mimicry of one. A few have speculated it acts as a mirror, offering insight into our own communication systems. Imagine a being from another galaxy stumbling upon an English dictionary. They might grasp the patterns, maybe even deduce structure, but they'd miss the meaning entirely. The Seraphinian manuscript may be that experience in reverse, a reminder of how alien and impenetrable communication can feel when we lack shared context. The visuals throughout the book are not explanatory. Unlike traditional encyclopedias, which are meant to inform, this one inspires. The illustrations are whimsical, unnerving, and entirely original. Serafini's style fuses biological anatomy, architecture, and the surreal into scenes that challenge understanding and invite interpretation. You might glimpse animals or cities or humanoid forms, but they're always slightly off, like reflections in a distorted mirror. This could be Serafini's way of suggesting that meaning is not fixed. Just as each person sees something different in abstract art, so too does each reader bring their own story to the manuscript. One viewer might interpret a page as commentary on evolution, another might see satire on modern life. It encourages active engagement, inviting you not just to observe, but to co-create. Another prevailing idea is that the Serafinian manuscript mocks our love for structure and classification. Encyclopedias aim to catalog the known world. Serafini mimics this form, but fills it with impossibilities, as if to say, not everything fits in a box. This subversion hints that reality is far more complex than our definitions allow. Much like life itself, the book resists being decoded or boxed into tidy answers. Through this beautiful ambiguity, Serafini may be pointing us toward a deeper truth, that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but savored.